It's bad news for Battlefield as the franchise is facing a tough response from its fans after announcing it will cease updates after June. Hey, I'm Tom from Tech Ordeal and we're going to be chatting about what's going on with Battlefield 5 right now. So, in an announcement today from senior producer Ryan MacArthur, fans learned that there would only be one more standalone update in June after the May update. This is despite the game feeling incomplete for many. The news comes as a shock, with most fans hoping to have seen much more expansion in the era of the Second World War, something which Battlefield 5 hasn't so far brought to us. Still unexplored are the major fronts of the war, including the Eastern Front, the Normandy invasion, much of North Africa and Italy. With the scale of previous updates, some only bringing a single new map to the game, the idea that DICE will provide these settings is looking slim to say the least. All in all, this is not a great look for a game that was set to tell the story of World War II. So, what's gone on? Well, MacArthur said, and I quote, "As you're aware, the current Battlefield 5 chapter, Into the Jungle, wraps up on April 29th. As we look to the future, we will release one more standalone update this summer that brings with it some new content, weapons and game tweaks. We are targeting June for this update. We're still tackling the challenges from working from home and we'll let you know how things progress for us over the next month." Put simply, there's not a lot we know about Update 7 coming out in June. They're still really trying to push up the May update, and so they're not actually announcing much, and on Twitter especially, it's been said that they're not allowed to release much info at all. However, what was provided was a single screenshot of a new map, which looks like it's set somewhere in North Africa due to the desert landscape and the style of buildings. But one clue really does help us out in finding out where this is, and that's the image name. So when you download it off the site, it includes the word Libya and Vista. And this makes it pretty certain for now that it will be set in Libya. So it's safe to assume for now that Libya, North Africa is going to be the setting for the latest update. Whether it's going to be one map or not, we don't know, but we have a good guess that this is going to be a map. The devs have said that Libya is the internal codename for a map that features in this summer's update. So again, it's not confirmed that it is Libya, but we can be pretty sure that Libya is what we're getting. Besides this single image though, there are no further details on the content in the update, whether players will have to accept a single map or multiple. I think most people will be hoping for multiple maps, but as we've seen before from DICE, there's been updates with only one map or delayed rollout of others, so let's just count on one map and hope for the best. Past updates have tended to stay reserved to single regions as well, so for example the Pacific update. It basically means we can rule out the fact that we're going to hope for an Eastern Front or Normandy. I think we can rule that out safely and say if there are multiple maps, it's probably just going to be North Africa. So that's a big shame, and it's really not the game people picked up at the start, hoping for all these big battles, all these historic things, which have been covered in lots of other games like Battlefield 1942, and you've got Call of Duty World at War. All the classic World War II shooters had these great maps, the invasion of Berlin, all this stuff we were really counting on having, but no more. We're probably not going to see any of that. It also means, as a byproduct of this, players shouldn't hold their breath for Russian weapons, which have really played a crucial role in most of the World War II shooters in the genre. They've been really popular, everyone loves using the PPSH, guns like that. We're most likely not going to see any of that in this new update. So one of the confirmations is that this update in June, there won't be a new chapter, but it will feature new content, weapons and game tweaks. There's not going to be any storyline mode or anything, but we will get some additional content on top of the map, so that's something we can look forward to, and hopefully, even if it's just one map, there'll be new upgrade ability, additional weapons which we can play about with, and have even just a couple weeks of fun with this update, the final update, before we move on to something else. So one thing DICE did elaborate is that they're continuing with new weekly missions and new rewards, and the update in summer will deliver new content to support that. It's pretty disappointing stuff right there. It's just your standard achievements and stuff, and really people don't play Battlefield for that. They're really playing for the maps, the immersion in World War II. So that stuff's a kind of side product, little nice to haves, but it's really not what the fanbase have been looking for. So DICE, you've been really struggling to listen to people, so that's not a good thing. And this is not what the player base and fan base is wanting, and this is why a lot of people, I imagine, are going to move away from Battlefield to the more popular at the moment games such as Call of Duty, which are beginning to open up to sandbox. They're beginning to have some of the amazing Battlefield things that the fans have loved, and it's part of a much bigger fan base now. So keep an eye out for this, and hopefully DICE will be paying attention to all of this and looking at everyone's feedback, and hopefully for the next Battlefield they'll be able to take that into account. One other thing they've confirmed is that they will otherwise have no further content planned beyond their updates to community games and ensuring healthy game performance. So what this means is that past June the game will not feature any further content. They will still be working on maintenance, making sure the servers are running and the gameplay is running well, and also anti-cheat. So this is just your standard stuff, keeping on top of people who are cheating, and they did say in their announcement that everyone can help by reporting it. Fantastic, DICE. Again, what we're really looking for is just bog standard maintenance. Thank you. So as you can tell, this news has not resonated well with fans of the game, many of whom have been patient with the controversial updates of the past year, which, for example, have wrecked the time to kill and then reverted the values back, and really came in after a high with the Pacific update, made every gun weak, and then they had to revert the values after all the controversy. It just really interrupted everyone's fun. So this news does not ring well. Things were beginning to get back to normal with the 6.2 update. Things were beginning to get fun again as you could use your guns and it didn't feel like a Nerf gun. And we finally got the tank customization which had been promised for years. So as you can imagine, this momentum that they had finally managed to recover is going to fizzle out pretty much immediately. It's not great, and it's not what people have been holding out for. So there are a bunch of things that have been listed still to come, and I'll just go through them just now. You got new content. All they've said on this is that a new update will be released this summer. They will be providing further details in the weeks to come, however, nothing yet, and they're being really tight on information at the moment. There'll also be weekly rewards. So following the update, people will receive the standard Battlefield currency or company coin as rewards, and it allows you to unlock all the gear you might have missed in the stories. And then they're also doing the events and activities, which involves weekly initiatives such as the reintroduction of Friday night Battlefield servers and all this stuff where I don't think I've ever really engaged with that, and I know most players don't really engage with that. There's Throwback Thursdays where they look to bring everyone together across all of the Battlefield titles. Yeah, so if you're keen on all that game community stuff, then maybe you can look forward to that. But otherwise, if you're looking for playing as a Russian or invading Normandy, you're not getting it. So obviously this isn't the first time we've seen the game, well, part of it, abandoned. Battlefield's answer to Battle Royale, which was Firestorm, was abandoned months after its release. So while it's still playable and fun now, there have been no additional content additions to it since. That was big controversy, everyone was really mad at that. Now we're finding out that the whole game will be pretty much ditched after June. On Reddit, it's been quite interesting. There's been a massive mega thread, and community manager Jeff Braddock has disappointed players. He's provided very little clarification on the announcement. That's maybe not down to him as a person or a worker, he's just the community face of the game, but the community's turned on him. Not quite as bad as when EA were dealing with the whole Star Wars Battlefront controversy. That was many more downvotes. But I imagine this will tend towards the same outcome as the community rallies together against something that we are all really disappointed at. One thing he did clarify was that the game wasn't in Sunset. He described Sunset as different to what's happening now, and he clarified that when a game is in Sunset, all the services shut down. He reminded everyone that Battlefield 5 will continue to have the weekly missions and some updates for community games to add more tools to the feature. So the game will still be playable, as with Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3, but we're getting no additional content to that. So what's the silver lining? Let's get something like that out of this. One is that it's going to free up the developers for the future Battlefield 6 game, which is at early stages, expected in late 2021. There's been very little information so far on the follow-up to Battlefield 5, but it may signal the time when DICE is reallocating resources to work on the next game. So, to round up, Battlefield 5 is a game that has kept players online and invested with the promise of something great. Everyone was looking for the key World War II moments, and it's not really delivered any of that to the fan base, with the exception of perhaps the Pacific update, which had an amazing set of maps, and revisited Wake Island, which is a favourite. They've not done a huge amount, but overall the updates have been disappointment after disappointment, and I think all the fans will be devastated to hear that there's not going to be all the stuff that we were expecting. Some of the stuff that we were pretty much sold on. I mean, what World War II game doesn't have the Russian front or the invasion of Berlin? or even the Battle of Normandy. All of this stuff is almost what you'd expect, even if it's not sold on the press release or whatever. It's the things you just assume will be included in the game. Thank you very much for watching, and please give us a like and subscribe. It will help out the channel. This is a relatively new channel and we're just growing, so it would be great if you could do that.